Hey friends, my name is S'more, and this is Space Engineers, and welcome to my Space Engineers Halo build series. In this very first episode, we're going to work on building the Halo Mongoose from episode 4. So strap in, let's do this. Alright friends, first things first, so the Halo 4 Mongoose is rather small. Now we're not going to be able to build something exactly to scale with vanilla or really even modded assets for Space Engineers, but what we can do is we can start off with 4 basic wheels. These are 3x3s. The 5x5s are too big, the 1x1s are too small, but these 3x3s, they're just right. Now we started off with the basic small landing gear, and then we threw out the wheel suspensions, and then from front to back we have the heavy armor blocks down here below to protect the undercarriage, because this thing is going to be bouncing all over the place. Then it comes complete with the fore and aft heavy armor block bumpers essentially. So let's turn on Bob here and let's let it do its thing. So after we have the basic footprint kind of laid out, built up, and we know that even if we high center it, it's not going to just explode, we need to figure out where we're going to be sitting in relation to the rest of the build here. Now we can't center this exactly, but what I've done is I've plopped this modified seat down about where I think that it needs to be. This is a modified passenger seat that has all of the properties of the larger cockpit blocks. 2 wide by 3 long by 3 high, and it was modded and developed and uploaded to the Steam workshop by a user named Akumu, A-K-U-M-U. So if you're interested in it, search for that guy or gal, and I'm sure you'll find this mod. Alright, so after a massive amount of Tetrising everything around, I believe we've got everything that we need incorporated into the build. So let me see if I can quickly do this. We have the modified passenger control seat. We have a small block right angle conveyor going into a cargo container, so that way we can share cargo between the seat storage and then the small cargo container here. We have the small nuclear reactor, which you'll have to feed manually, kind of by design. We have the ore detector here, the beacon here, a set of headlights up front, gyroscope, and I believe that is everything. So we'll turn Bob back on, let it do its thing. We'll bring it right back. Let's take a quick walk around tour of everything that we finished welding up. Well, we didn't. Bob did. Thanks, Bob. So this is what it looks like in its finished state. I even tried to make sure that a lot of the lines went fore to aft and not up and down. Laid them horizontally, not vertically. Make it to just even look a little bit longer than it is. Just trying to get the proportions as right as I can. So while the control seat is set to one side, that's why all of the blocks are on the other side of the control seat to try and balance it out. So guys, we're 90% done. Unfortunately, we've come to the 10%. That takes 90% of the time to do, and that is all the greebling. This is where it goes from being a Space Engineers build to whatever verse you want your build to fall into. And in this series, it's going to be the Halo universe. So the greebling is going to be with light armor blocks, and that's why we got all this heavy armor bumper and, for lack of, I guess, kind of an undercarriage here established. The rest of it's light armor block to conserve on weight. And I'm not doing this on camera, and I will bring you guys back when I think I'm about there. Alright friends, so I was quite right. The greebling took a while. We're not even done yet. So we are going to cut this free. Remove this from the back end. First off, let's turn Bob off, or else it's just going to continue fixing what we grind. So I really liked how the antenna looked just hanging off the back end, so that's where that's residing right there. Everything else I think turned out real well. Let's hop in.
Fuel.
Here's what she winds up looking like. Now, not 100% true to form. I definitely like how the greebling on the back side turned out a lot more than the greebling on the front side. But that's kind of how this is going to wind up rolling. I thought it might be interesting to do just a little bit more greebling on camera so you guys can see the process. So let's leave, and we need to make this block right here and this whole side right here mirror on this side. So we're going to take our light sloped block and do that number because that's the same, right? Just want to make sure. Okay, good. And then we're going to scroll wheel and then rotate like so. And this will bring out the length of the front block of the engine. Now, a lot of this is just light armor block. And in one of my earlier builds, this is like my 4th attempt at this. A lot of these things got shoved inside of here, but in the end, I didn't like how it turned out. And so I decided that by protecting everything by the heavy metal blocks, but moving them out of the front engine block area, it just gave me more freedom and flexibility with how the greebling would go. I'm mostly happy with it, I think. Okay, boom. And then, I believe that there's even a spot, and I think that is the right shape right there. I'm all like craning my head down, trying to look underneath of it as if that's going to make a difference. The only other thing I could think of, like, and obviously you can't see over this, right? And that's just, again, it's a Space Engineer's limitation, but we have some decent lighting. It's much wider compared to how long it is, compared to how tall it is, right? The proportions are just a little off, but in the end, that additional width is going to help to make this build much more stable. I don't think we can, oh, maybe we can get an extra block here, guys. Boom, consistency, it's a beautiful thing. Alright guys, let's give it a test drive. Alright guys, so I have made some control groups in the control panel. I slowed it way down, really reduced the maneuverability of it, because the best way to flip this thing, should you roll it, is to not roll it in the first place. It's just not quite big enough to really put a series of rotors and lever arms. I experimented with that. I experimented with like a piston, like a tip assist, thinking like a Little Rascal, like that one particular South Park episode. I couldn't quite get it to work as well as I'd wanted it to, but I really do like how it handles. Space Engineers wise, this is a really simple build, you know what I mean? It's not very complicated at all, but it's going to work out just fine for us. The last thing we need to do, guys, we need to paint this bad boy, and I feel like this is a pretty close approximation of UNSC green. So what we're going to do is put a block in our hand and then Shift P. Let's get this thing all dolled up, and then you guys can let me know what you think. And I think that about covers it. Now, there is some white embellishment, and so what I think we're going to do is, let's add that now. And then what I think we're going to do is this one right here.
Meteor storm inbound.
Awesome sauce, all right. Well, guys, I think you get the very basic idea. We can add some of these details here. So that way there is just a little bit more than just all green. Know what I mean? We can pick up that other side. I kind of like how that looked. Alright, guys. Well, this has been S'more bringing you the very first build of what I hope is many. And it is the UNSC Mongoose, mostly based off of Halo 4. Please feel free to leave any comments in the comment section below, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next build. Also, please make sure to check out my survival series where we download a whole bunch of mods, we make the game ridiculously hard for someone who's really just started playing, and we see how I do. Thanks for watching, guys.